Hello, all my Kinvians, and welcome to essentially what's the first podcast I've done in a long time, probably the only one I've actually done here on the YouTube channel. And today I am joined by my friend Rio, aka ChaotixFusion from YouTube. Chaotix, you there, man?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm in limbo, but I'm here. What's up, everybody?
Well, today we are going to be talking about Infinity Wars. I said Wars, Infinity War. And just in case any of you are listening to this and you didn't read the title for some reason, this is a spoiler cast. So if you have not seen Infinity War yet, do not listen to this. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, do not watch it, because we're going to spoil so much. So
this is really your only out for this, because literally, if you're like one of those people like, well, you sport, no, we warned you. So please, go watch the movie, experience the roller coaster that is the Infinity Wars, come back to watch this, or listen, whatever your choice is, I'm not judging, and then enjoy our little spoiler cast.
Exactly. But what we're going to do today is going to go through several what I feel are really important aspects of this movie and just give our overall thoughts on them. And then, clearly we're doing a spoiler cast here. We wouldn't be doing that if we didn't enjoy the movie. But we'll still give our overall thoughts on the film in the end. You ready to go, Rio?
Always ready.
All right. So, the first thing we're going to talk about is the Mad Titan himself, the big purple grimace-looking mofo. Thanos.
Like yes. Oh, man. Should I go first? I feel like I want to go first.
Yeah, go first, man.
So, this is... I like how, with this movie, he is the main character. And I like that, because we had 10 years worth of movies on all the characters, all their backstories and whatnot. And then just to have a movie that is centrally focused on him and his ambitions and what he is trying to do. And then also make him somewhat sympathetic, even though he's psychotic, because he wants to kill half of the universe to make the universe better again. Wow. This is kind of coming off for... Anyway...
I completely agree.
Yeah, it's just... I like how they try to humanize him, but at the same time, from someone who has read a little bit of the comics, like, there are certain things that I wish they would have added into it, like his obsession with Lady Death, because that was, like, his main... Like, in the comics, his main thing was that he was killing all these people to impress Death. Okay, he wanted to get with her. But in this one, they changed that, and I mean, I'm not like a comic book purist about it, but at the same time, I like the changes because it makes him a little bit more kind of relatable, and it kind of gives kind of like a better reason of why he's doing this. But at the same time, he's still psychotic, so I'm like, whatever, Sam.
Oh, yeah. And it's like, I haven't read thoroughly about Thanos. It's like, I've read enough to, get the overall idea of him. So much to the point that, the first time he was revealed back at the end of the first Avengers movie, I was just kind of like, oh my God, it's Thanos. Because, like, even back then, I got that feeling. But I agree. I do like how they changed his story away from that, trying to impress Lady Death, because, I mean, it's enough trying to familiarize us with this character, show us his ambitions, why he's doing what he's doing. To throw in the concept of he's doing this to impress Death, like the incarnation of Death, there would be so many people in the theater, unless they were just super huge comic nerds, just like, what? Seriously?
So it would be, one thing I did have a thought about was, what if in the second movie, because surprise, it's a 2-part movie, people.
Yeah.
That they do introduce Lady Death, and he then has that kind of, well, I did all this. Like he has like the whole what's the word I'm looking for? desire to be with her because of death, right? But then, what if they just do Deadpool and they'd be like, "Oh no, I got this already." Because those two actually do hook up together, and I'm like, "Oh, that would be just a slap to the face." I'm like,
Oh my god, if they somehow were to introduce Deadpool into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I would be so happy, insanely confused, but incredibly happy.
same.
But yeah, with Thanos, I was surprised at how much. Again, it's like, we got throughout this movie where he was essentially the main focus. We came to know more about him. And it really went around everything that a lot of people in the comics fans of the comics would have expected. Because again, like you said, they humanized him to a degree. And it's kind of like his whole approach to everything. I mean, it is horrific. He slaughters half the people on entire planets in the name of, like, making that world a better place. What he does is horrific. But if you think about it too much, it's just kind of like, holy shit, that makes a little bit of sense. And I hate the fact that I'm thinking that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like to a certain degree, because like even with like Gamora's planet, like he wipes out half of it, and in front, like he shields her in front of it, but like you see in the background, like he's killing all these people and stuff, and like his reasoning behind it is because humanity or just like the population of the universe is too big. Like we're using all the resources and whatnot, and then he uses his planet as an example. Like this is what it used to look like. This is what it is now. And
yeah,
just like it. I mean, I feel like on some level it could have been driven the point home, but I mean you're sitting there for like a 3-hour movie, so it's like it's only so much you can do. So just getting the little example that he like, this is what I'm trying to do. It's effective to the point like you see a visual aid, and I mean I think that's really all you needed to see for it.
Absolutely.
And then you can be like, oh, okay, I understand why you're still a son of a bitch, but I understand why you're doing this. And then on top of it, he feels like because no one else has the will or the power to do so, that he's putting this on him to be like, well, I can do this.
Exactly. What is it? It's like, there was something said in the film. It's like he doesn't have the right, but he's the only one with the will to do it.
Yeah, something like that.
And the one thing is like you pointing out his home planet there. I mean, the way they did that, in my opinion, was just absolutely phenomenal. And it made arguing against him, again, in the context of this story, all the more hard because, I expected when he was talking about, I propose this to, to kill off half of the planet's population, no regard for gender, for social placement, whether they were rich or poor. And then they rejected his proposal, and this is the result of that. Like, I was expecting that to be, so I took matters into my own hands and did it anyway. No! What happened was because they didn't let him act, so it's just all the more impactful, like, oh my god, what if he's right?
And just saying that, it like I just had the thought in my head, what if he did take it upon himself to do that, but he went too far? Like, that's like I guess like maybe the one thing that I kind of wish I kind of saw a little bit more into, because like what if like he's thinking like, well, we need to do this, but it's still not, like, we know that it's not right, and the counselor, they were like, no, we're not going to do this. What to say that he didn't fully lose it, and the reason why his plan looks like that is because of what he did? We don't even know, and I'm just spitballing at that point, but it's a thought that I've had in my head when I saw that. I was like, but what if he just did this? Like, what if he just wiped out his entire race and wanted to use that as an example to be like, well, this is my justifications for doing what I'm doing?
Oh my... I had not considered that way. Oh my god. And actually, now that I think about it, that explains why so much of it was destroyed.
Exactly. Because like,
Oh my god.
Even if even if you thought about it long enough, if they didn't do it, your planet wouldn't look like that. Like something had to have happened, and that's the thought that I had in my head when I was seeing that. I was like, well, what the hell happened to your planet? I would still think, like, wait. I mean, he justified like saying they're using resources, but still, like, you have broken pieces of your planet floating around. Nah, I feel like there's a little bit more to that backstory than he's not saying.
Yeah. The only sort of alternative explanation that I could think of is that because of the lack of resources, people went to war and there was just chaos and they basically destroyed themselves. Like I can see that as the implied version of what happening, but at the same time, I really like your thought on that. That I mean, maybe him doing this in the end is him justifying what he did and sort of making up for how he perhaps accidentally wiped out his entire planet.
It's a possibility right there.
That's really good. I really thank you for pointing that out, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for.
More to look forward to in the fourth Avengers movie. Before we move on, one thing that I do want to talk about also with Thanos, the Infinity Stones themselves and how those, along with the Infinity Gauntlet, were utilized in this movie. What are your thoughts on that?
First off, like, going into this movie, I was thinking, like, how fast was he going to get these stones? You know? And I think from what I understand from other people that's talked about this movie, some people feel like he got the stones, like, really quickly, and other people feel like he got them, like, at a reasonable pace. For me, just the fact that he, like, I was expecting him to get all the stones. Some of it I felt like was a little bit sooner than what I anticipated, but I think it at the end it kind of all just kind of flowed in the right kind of direction. But as for the stones themselves, oh man, where do you, like, I think the one that got me the most was the Soul Stone. Like when he got that one, and just the way that he had to do it, I'm just like, oh, you're killing one of my favorite characters. Okay, yeah, right, okay.
Yes. And that's another thing about the character that's like, you know, it has me consistently conflicted with him. It's like, you have shown, like, the character has shown nothing but being a sociopath at best, a psychopath at worst. But then they have this moment of, like, despite the fact that Gamora hates him, Nebula hates him, is like, he shows, like, this legitimate sign of love for Gamora. Like, he loves her despite the fact that she hates him for obviously very legitimate reasons.
Oh, yeah.
And for her to be, like, the thing that he loves most and he has to sacrifice that, I'm just like, again, it just leaves me so conflicted with him. I'm just like, oh my God, I don't know how to handle you right now, because you're clearly evil, you're clearly the worst thing possible, and yet you are remotely humanized, and you make a sick sort of sense that really bothers me.
I know, like, and just like beforehand, when they thought, like, when Gamora and the rest of the Guardians was going to that one planet to get one of the stones, and you see them, like, she feels like she kills him because he's using the reality stone on them.
Mm-hmm.
And she's there and she's crying. And then he's like, oh, so you do care about me, kind of sense. And it goes even more deeper when, like, even Nebula is saying, like, well, you're always his favorite. You're his favorite daughter. You know? Mm-hmm. So, even as psychotic as this guy is, he knows what love is. And that's the scary part. He knows what that emotion is. And when Red Skull, of all people, which I'm like, how the hell did you get here?
Yeah.
When he is like right there, he's telling him what he needs to do, and he's crying, and Gamora's like, you care for nobody. She doesn't put two and two together, like, oh, wait, he cares about me the most.
Yeah.
Like, that whole scene, I was just like, like the moment that when Red Skull was saying what needs to happen, I was already like, Gamora, get out of there. Leave. Run.
Yep.
Kill yourself there. I don't find a way out because no, he's about to toss you. And just the tears running out of his face and her laughing at it, I was like, I think that's one of the moments I'm like, this ain't a laughing man. Like, they humanize him to the point I think the audience kind of realized, and it kind of makes like almost like a dumb moment for her. Because like the whole, like when I went to see the movie, everyone was like, oh no, like you heard it throughout the entire theater, and it just that moment right there, I'm like, balls.
But even for her as a character, it's like it does seem like a dumb moment, but at the same time, from her perspective, it makes sense because what she sees is him crying over the fact that, or being just like so destroyed, the fact that, you know, again, in her mind, he doesn't love anything to sacrifice. So, like she says, he lost, or at least that's what she thought.
Yeah, because like she's laughing about it, and like in the concept, like, because even when I was watching it for the first time, like even in my head, I'm like, well, yeah, you care about nobody, and then it's like when you put two and two together after watching all the movies and stuff, you're like, oh, okay, but like in that moment. Yeah, she's like, well, I won. you care about nobody. Why? That's why you're crying, because you have no one that you love. And then when Red Skull's like, those tears are not for him, it's like, oh shit, okay, right. This is turning into much darker. Right, cool, right. Also, Can we just say, I know we're like already deep into the rabbit hole here, but this is by far the darkest Marvel movie they've made.
Oh my God, yes. I mean, it's from the very beginning. It's dark.
Oh, man.
Like, we just kind of start off in a bad mood. It's not like, you know, oh, hey, there's the Avengers logo and da-da-da. Oh, no, there's a lot of dead people.
Oh, like, even before the movie even starts, you hear stuff in the background. And, like, the movie's like, we haven't started. Oh, you're going to start killing people right now? Okay, let's get to the movie. Like...
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's just... But, I mean... Yeah, I think seeing the Soul Stone was probably the most effective. The only other one I could think of is the Reality Stone, only because of the bubbles.
That's one thing that still blows my mind. It's like, why the hell bubbles? It's like, and he doesn't even use it just once. There's like 2 distinct instances where things are made into bubbles with the Reality Stone.
There's a crazy thing with the bubbles, because in like the Marvel vs. Capcom games and Marvel superheroes, when you play as Thanos, one of his abilities is to shoot bubbles at you. So I kind of liked how they brought that into the movie. I'm like, wow, I was not expecting that reference.
I had no idea that's amazing. That is seriously amazing. I had no clue that was a thing.
Oh, yeah. When I first saw the bubble, I was like, I didn't put 2 and 2 together. I was like, wait a minute, isn't that a thing in the game?
Oh, that is phenomenal. Well, as for me, when it comes to the Infinity Stones and the Infinity Gauntlet, it's, I mean, the Soul Stone part, I agree with you entirely. Like, that was just a gut-wrenching portion. But it's like, as far as like the actual utilization goes, like the Reality Stone, the way he uses it to either just show things or when he tricks the Guardians, all the way to the point where I always forget that one new Guardian's name. Mantis?
Yeah, Mantis.
Mantis and Drax. It's like, I honest to God thought they were dead. Because, I mean, they just kind of like spindled out. I like audibly in the theater go, when that happened.
I think when I saw like the morphation of their bodies get all weird, I was like, well, that's an instant effect.
Yeah. But then also, it's like, although it was not used much, I mean, it was really only used right at the end, but the Time Stone, the way it was used on Vision, is like I expected it to happen, but at the same time, it's just like he basically just sort of like flicked his wrist and time reversed, and I remember my eyes just getting bigger, just like, oh no. Like it seems so effortless, and yet it culminated in him getting the final stone, and it was just this, again, very subtle but insanely powerful moment.
And you know what's crazy about that moment? Because going into this movie, the first person I was like, well, I know exactly who's going to be dead. Vision. Vision has to be one of the first. He was one of the last people that had the stone. I'm like, you guys are really dragging this on. We know he is going to die.
Seriously. I do have a feel. I mean, I don't know how much they're going to go with the comics, or well, I mean, not much, but it's like as far as comic logic goes, I do think that Vision will probably come back to life in some form.
I would
just
think so
because
too, because he's not really he's like a robot, right?
Exactly. I mean, yeah, the stone was like forcefully removed from him, but at the same time, there's ways to work around that, especially if you use comic logic.
And you know they're going to use comic logic. It's kind of inevitable.
Oh yeah, and we'll definitely be talking about that later in the podcast here.
But yeah, I do have to agree with the time stone. Just and not just like when Thanos used it, even when Doctor Strange, when he uses it to like look into the future and see what would be the best possible outcome. Like even that was just kind of like, oh well, couldn't you have done that like the beginning of the movie? No.
Possibly.
But
I mean, it did seem like he didn't have, like, since he came in with some exceptions, it was just kind of like, I guess the severity of the situation hadn't really kicked in.
Right.
But yeah.
But you know, that was also kind of like one of those heart moments when he uses the time stone to go back, stop what Scarlet Witch was doing, to be like, no, I'm gonna take the stone anyway. Like, and I think what really kind of bothers me, and I mean, I know why they did it, because they kind of want to show the relationship between Scarlet and keep blanking on his name.
Vision?
Yeah, Vision. But if she had the power to destroy these stones, right? Mm-hmm. When they were all fighting, she should have been there trying to, like, at least when Thanos got there, try to destroy that whole thing. I would have thought that would have been like, because like just the thought that she had the ability to destroy one of them, I would have gone for the gauntlet. I
can see that, but at the same time, it's like they've confirmed that she's the one capable of destroying that stone. Who's to know whether she could be able to destroy the other stone or even the Infinity Gauntlet?
That's
I mean, and even if, like, if she could, who's to say that? Because I mean, Vision was standing perfectly still, basically. If he's moving forward and constantly moving, I mean, I know I'm probably reading into this too much, but who's to say that couldn't throw off her focus and cause it to where it's like either one, she couldn't destroy it, or if he would reach her before she could destroy it.
That makes a lot of sense. But yeah, those stones! Oh my goodness.
Oh my god, I know. But moving on from Thanos himself, or Thanos, however you pronounce it.
The purple
I also wanted to talk about his minions. And before we started recording, I even mentioned this. I do not remember the names of any of them. However, one of them looks like Squidward from SpongeBob. So I'm just going to call him Squidward.
Because I don't remember any other names. And like the only one that was really memorable, you know, I can't think of his name, is the wizard. Like, he was the only one that, because even at the beginning, it's like, you should be thankful that Thanos is here to kill you. I'm like, well, aren't you a real ass? Okay.
Yeah.
Because out of all of them, like, I guess they were trying to make, the moment I saw them, like, they're all gonna die. Like, I already saw them die. Like, they weren't anything significant to me. I'm like, whatever. I don't care. You're gonna be like in a few scenes of fighting, and then you're gonna get killed, and all of them got killed. And I just think the one that made me laugh was the wizard, because they shoot him out into space. I'm like, well, that was easy.
Have you seen the movie Alien?
Yes. Oh, I love the reference that he made.
Thank you, Peter Parker.
And then immediately I told him, like, stop making references. Oh my god, that was such a good reference. I'm like, I'm glad I caught that. I'm like, see, Marvel knows what's up.
Oh yeah. And it's like for me, it's like definitely the Squidward guy stood out, or the wizard. I'm just gonna call him Squidward. He stood out, and again, even though I don't remember her name, the woman disciple or acolyte, whatever they're supposed to be, minion of Thanos. It's like visually, she's like the second most memorable one, because she looked like a D&D character to me. I don't know like the race of which, but it's like usually they have horns and tails. But
I kind of know what you're talking about. To me, every time I look at her, I think of Avatar with the blue creatures. That's what I think of when I see her. I'm like, wow, that's a weird looking Avatar. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And it's like, and also she was, I think, other than Squidward, she was the only one that really had any speaking roles other than maybe like couple of words.
She was like out of Squidward and Thanos, she was the only other person that actually had lines. All the other two was like,
there's the big guy and then the other
kind of big guy.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, just the way, like, all of them died was just kind of like, well, that's the thing. Moving on.
Yeah. From one thing that I do remember reading, and I just saw this on, it was either Twitter or Tumblr after seeing the movie, but apparently that character, like, that minion, she's supposed to be, like, extremely powerful, which, clearly she is very strong in the movie, but just kind of the way she went out, it seemed anticlimactic for her, even though she wasn't like really established as a character, if you get what I mean.
Oh yeah. But that could also be said for the rest of them, because I'm pretty sure the rest of them are they're supposed to be strong, but I mean, just because of, I don't even know. Like, I feel like they don't really need to focus too much on the minions, but I think it would have been, I guess, more gratifying if they actually were more powerful, because like I said, Squidward was probably the only one that really stuck out to me, because he was actually beating up some of the Avengers, and he still was able to complete his goal even though he died, while the others kept failing at what they're doing. And I'm like, yeah, I don't really see you as a threat.
Yeah, and I wish, I mean, clearly it couldn't happen because of they were already running long on time,
right?
Which apparently the fourth Avengers is going to be even longer. But
oh Jesus,
yeah. But I would have liked at least some idea of who they are. It's like we got a glimpse of an idea of who Squidward was because he was talking about himself and how he has never failed Thanos, which again, technically he didn't fail Thanos. He got the time stone there. But beyond that, there's no real knowledge of who these characters are. And again, even though they're very strong fodder, I do wish that we had at least had more of an idea of who they're supposed to be, like why they joined with Thanos. And who knows, maybe that's something that'll be explored in the fourth movie.
It's a possibility that could happen.
Yeah. But maybe not, because they're dead, unless they're brought back to life through some means.
Comic book logic.
Exactly. Or who knows, maybe Squidward isn't even really dead. Maybe he doesn't have to breathe oxygen, he's just floating out in space somewhere.
I mean, that's a possibility as well, because the only thing we saw him was this, he froze over, which I'm just going to assume that he's dead. But if he's still alive, then I mean, he's gonna miss out on the whole battles, but I mean, I think he'd be fine just floating out in space. He's not doing anybody any harm.
Just kind of floating there. Hey guys.
It's like I'm just frozen. I can't move, but I'm hanging around. If you want to rescue me, I'm right here.
And I will say, just to end this little section about the minions, the big guy, the way he went out was kind of awesome. Getting dragged across the force field of Wakanda.
I laughed at that.
Oh yeah, same. It was just like, it was hilarious, but kind of awesome too. And it's just because like the Hulk, well, not even the Hulk, but Bruce uses the Hulkbuster's arm to just shoot him into the stratosphere, and he's getting like just raked along the force field, and then just boom.
You know, speaking about the Hulkbuster, you know, I there's one thing that I want to give credit to Marvel, because if you watch the trailer to the movie, you see the Hulk like literally running with everybody, but in the movie it's like, no, Hulk's like, I'm not coming out, we're good.
Or in the words of the Hulk, no.
And you know, there's a few speculations as to why, because like in Thor Ragnarok, he was like, well, if I go back to Bruce, I don't like, he was saying that, but for me personally, I think it's that ass whooping he got at the beginning of the movie. He was like, no, I'm good. I felt power. I'm good. I'm not coming out.
Yeah. And we'll talk about that a little bit more coming up, because I do want to talk a bit more about Bruce and the Hulk.
Right.
But, okay, well, that's all I have to say about the Minions, unless you might have any other thoughts?
No, they're dead. I'm good.
All right. Now let's get into, I mean, the reason why we go see these movies, the characters. And first I want to talk about, like, the best characters, what you feel like were the best represented characters, so on and so forth in this movie.
The best characters. Oh my goodness. Honestly, this is going to be kind of weird, because I'm not even a big fan of Thor, but I really felt like out of all the Avengers, like, I really like Thor throughout this whole movie. I would say he's probably one of the best ones for me. Aside from, well, obviously the whole cast of the Guardian of the Galaxy. I love all of them. And seeing Spider-Man and Iron Man and even Captain America, even though I don't really like him either. But for me personally, in this movie, aside from the main character Thanos, I would say Thor is probably my favorite, because like, you see him at the very beginning, you see what he lost, you see that he's like, I want my revenge, and all the stuff that he went through to get his axe, and then coming back, and just when he comes back and everyone sees him and he's fighting, like, he's just like, no, we're stopping this now, and this annihilates all those weird things that people are fighting. And then, even though, like, he's trying to get the killing blow, but he doesn't go for the gauntlet. He's going straight for Thanos himself. Just to see, like, he had even more power than what he started off with. That's just like, someone became a Super Saiyan out of nowhere, and this is like, I'm about to put the hammer on somebody.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I absolutely loved Thor in this film. I definitely feel like he was the best represented of the Avengers. I mean, especially if you talk about, like, you know, the original crew. Like, he was one of the main focuses of this. Again, aside from Thanos, like you said.
Yeah.
And I could not help but giggle every time he called Rocket a rabbit.
And you know what the crazy thing about it is? Because, like, in all the previous Guardians of the Galaxy movie, every time they call Rocket a certain animal, it was always kind of like an insult. But when Thor said it, he's just like, oh, okay. Because he's just like, I don't understand the concept of anything anyway, so I'm going to call you Rabbit. and Rocket's like, okay, cool.
Exactly. Which I did... and talking about Rocket, it's like, you know, you pretty much always have Groot in hand there, too. Oh, yeah. Rocket, overall, I mean, he was a fun presence in the movie, but not a huge one. But Groot, I absolutely loved. how they portrayed him as like this moody teenager that's just like, it's completely obsessed with his little Space Invaders video game. I mean, even from the very beginning where they're flying through space, it's just like, Groot, put that down.
I am Groot.
Language!
Oh man, that was so good. And
then he had that arc at the like near the end where it's just like, he's like, oh, holy crap, I need to help. And he uses part of himself to make the axe. And that was just such an amazing moment. Again, it's like not a huge one. And we already love Groot. It's not like he needs a redeeming arc. But he redeemed himself, like, sort of in context of how he had been acting that whole time.
Oh, definitely. Also, just because I know someone in the comments probably said, I know that the axe has a name. I just cannot for the life of me think of what the name is called.
I can't either. It's like, I want to be, it's like the Starbuster or I don't know. I can't remember the name of it, but the big ass axe.
Stormbreaker. I think that's what it's called.
Stormbreaker. Oh, okay. Yeah, that does sound familiar.
I was trying to think of this whole time, like, what is the name of this axe? Yeah. But yeah.
And just real quick, before we talk about more of the characters, one character who I enjoy the fact they were there, but I feel like in the grand scheme of things they didn't need to be. And that's the smithy played by or the blacksmith, whatever his name is, played by oh no, I'm forgetting his name.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't know his name. I just know he's from Game of Thrones.
This is going to kill me. I have to pull up my browser right now. I hate the fact that I cannot remember his name. I will edit this in.
But you know what? I do like the fact that they got the smallest person to be the biggest person in this movie.
Very true. Peter Dinklage.
That's his name, yeah.
Yes. And it's just overall, I mean, again, I get the tragedy of the character, and even it's like they didn't even really go into it much, but what they did to his hands, it's like, it's very tragic. But in the end, I feel like he didn't need to be there. Like, basically everything that needed to be done was done by the mold for the axe.
True, but I think I think one of the reasons why he was there so he can actually explain how it needs to happen.
That's true.
Because otherwise, I mean, if you think about it, you got Rocket, Groot, and Thor, and they'll be like, so how do we do this?
Exactly. Yeah, maybe that's just me, like, just, I don't know. Because, I mean, we have so many characters in this movie. I felt like it was just one additional character that I was just kind of like, do you need to be here? But that's just me.
And just a side thing, I just thought about this. I love Drax. Especially, he's like, I'm invisible. And I'm like, no.
Yes.
No, you're not. It's like, if I move really slow, I'm like, no. I love how they played him off. I'm like, you're like one of my favorites.
Absolutely. And that's one thing I'm going to talk about more, like, after we go over the characters and, like, you know, how everything sort of mixes together, and it's how they balanced the humor and all that. But again, I won't talk about it too much right now.
Yeah, definitely.
But I agree. It's like Drax was just awesome. And I know that not everyone feels this way, but for me personally, it's like I've enjoyed the Captain America character in the cinematic universe. Like, overall, it's like he's been one of my favorites. It's like Captain America Winter Soldier. That's easily one of my favorite Marvel movies that has come out. You know, if I know some people don't like him. You had mentioned that you didn't really care for him, and I totally get that.
Every time I see Captain America, the only thing that comes to mind is he's such a dick. I don't like him. Like, even before, like, even the old Marvel movies when they did, like, he literally stole someone's car. I'm like, wow, you're such a dick. So I've never gotten on board with Captain America. I mean, I know what he's supposed to symbolize and whatnot, but I've never liked him. And I remember like, it was a few years back, I think it was during the Civil War, where anyone was like on Team Cap or Team Iron Man. And I was like, they're both dicks.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Because I was going to say, in a lot of ways, except for the first movie, really, I've kind of always seen Tony as being the dick. And, like, Cap not so much. But yeah, it's like, especially in Civil War, they both are.
Like, I think the only thing with Civil War, I think I favored Tony more, only because to see more of what happened to his parents and stuff, and then because that was like when he finds out, that's like a scene where I was like, no, you fucking kicked their ass. Like I was like, I can be on Iron Man's side for a second. No, beat them up.
Yeah, but and at the same time, it's like I got why he was feeling that way, but at the same time, it's like the part of me is just like, he was under brain control. He was under brain control. Bucky is not under brain control currently. Don't try to kill him. He didn't mean to. So it's like, that's how I approached it.
I try to rationalize that every time I watch him. I'm like, no, like,
yeah,
no, I can't. I'm sorry.
But speaking of Tony, despite how like I did have kind of like, ups and downs with him throughout the different movies. I gotta say, even if he ultimately fails in this movie, I feel like he did a solid job. It was like, that's some of the most like not self-important he's ever been. Like, everything he's doing here is like what he started or tried to do through Ultron by trying to prepare for the worst. Is like he dropped everything to do what he could to try and save the universe, and he puts in a hell of a try.
Oh, most definitely. And then you even see that when he's talking to Peter, he's like, you're not supposed to be here. And stuff.
Yes.
And Peter's like, I just want to help, and if I don't have a neighborhood, then what? Like, and then he's like, okay, fine, whatever, but you're gonna do what I say.
Yeah, exactly. And then he just kind of like he christens Peter. He's just like, congratulations, you're an Avenger, kid.
It's like, oh, really? Yay! But
or knights him. That's what it is.
Yeah, but before we go any further, I am so surprised that the original Avengers are all living, and the two that really surprised me is that both Cap and Iron Man lived. And with Iron Man especially, I thought he was going to be dead. I'm like, what? Especially when they stabbed him through this. I'm like, what? Wait, whoa, hold on. So I was ready, but I'm not that ready. Can we time stone kind of go back in time for a second? Because, but then to see that they don't die, I'm like, well, okay.
Yeah, I was the same way. Like, as soon as he got stabbed, it was another one of those audible gasps for me. I was just like, oh no, it's happening.
Oh, it was. But no, but I have a feeling in the next movie is when both Captain America and Iron Man are going to die. And I feel like the way that they might do it is they want them to reunite again. And then that's when they're probably going to have like a sacrifice or something's going to happen to where they both die.
Yeah. I don't think that Iron Man will die. It's like, I do think that he will probably take sort of a back seat as far as the Marvel Cinematic Universe going forward goes. And he may like pass down the mantle to someone else, like what they've been doing in the comics a lot, from what I hear. But I feel like he won't die. He'll just be more of a background character. I definitely think that Cap's going out, though.
Well, I think the only reason why I say like they're both going to die, because I think they were like, each actor was saying how like they wanted to get out of the movies, of the Marvel movies entirely. So you would think the best way to do that is just like, that's why I think a lot of people were expecting them to die in this movie. But I'm thinking because it's a two-parter, it's going to be the second part.
Yeah. I mean, it's undoubtedly in my mind that Cap's going out.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, it may happen with Iron Man, but we'll have to wait and see. And I'm trying to think if there's any other, because I mean, we could spend forever on on these like our favorite characters. Let's see. I think there was one other character that just really stood out for me that I love, but I can't think of who it is off the top of my head. Do you have anyone else that like just really in particular stood out for you?
I would say Rocket stood out to me as well because in the last Guardian movie, he was a complete ass, and it was Yondu that kind of was like, stop being an ass, okay? And in this movie, he really grows because there's even a scene where he's talking to Thor, and he's like, "Well, I guess I have to be captain, and take on the responsibility of being in charge and stuff." And I think one of the best scenes is when him and Winter Soldier are Winter Soldier picks him up. And they're going in a circle, and they're just shooting everything. But I love the fact how Rocket's like, "Hey, how much for the gun? Gun's not for sale. How much for the arm?" Yes. I love that he still has the audacity, like, I still want to steal that stuff.
It's like, oh, I'm going to get that arm.
But I think, like, to be honest, like, there was really no bad character in this movie. There was some characters who had more screen times than others. I know for me, one personal favorite is Black Widow. Like, I love seeing her, even though I'm like, power-wise, you really have no business being here, but okay.
Yeah. I remember who I was going to talk about, actually, in regard to, like, where you were talking about Rocket of the Guardians. Quill.
Oh, yeah,
Quill. Yeah, Quill. It's like, what he goes through in this movie, it's like, we still get, the hilarious character that we've come to know and love. But at the same time, it's like, not only is he willing to pull that trigger and kill Gamora like she begged him to, which obviously gets turned around by Thanos, turning his shot into bubbles. Mm-hmm. Those frickin' bubbles, man. But, oh my god, when he finds out about Gamora, I mean,
I feel like I was in that same state of mind. I was like, what?
Yeah. And it's like at the same time, you're like, everyone else is like, Peter, keep it together. But at the same time, it's just like, you can understand just his pure fury. Because Gamora loved him. He loved Gamora. And then just to have that ripped away all of a sudden, it's just pure, unthinking fury in his eyes.
It is. And, even when you go back to look at the previous movies, working up, you can see, like, there's a relationship building up to it. And even in this one, like, you really see it. Like, they might joke around, but, like, when it's just them two together, they have their moment. It's like, even when she's telling him, "I need you to kill me," he's just like, "Wait, what? No." Why would it? And that was such a hard moment to watch. Mm-hmm. Just to be like, and then when he finds out about it, that's no. I feel like I would be in Quill's shoe. I'm like, you want me to do? No, I want to fucking kill this guy now because you killed someone that I loved, And mm-hmm. even in the second Guardian movie, like, Drax was like, "Well, we're like a family. We accept Nebula." I'm like, that's a family right there. So you can only imagine when in the next movie, when Nebula tells Rocket what happens to everyone, he's mm-hmm. left with nobody. I feel so bad for Rocket at the moment. He doesn't even know what happened to the rest of his team.
Oh God, I know. Oh, poor Groot.
Oh.
But to move on from there, you had talked about how some of the characters, they didn't get as much screen time as others. And that's why I wanted to talk about, like, we'll do our best to, like, keep this more succinct than the last one. But characters we felt were underused. Criminally even.
See, and this is probably going to be the hard one for me because throughout the whole movie, like I understand why they explain what happened with Ant-Man and why he's not in it, but then in my head, because going into I haven't seen every Marvel movie. I'm making that perfectly clear, but I have seen all the Avengers movie, and in my head, I'm like, where's the bow and arrow guy at?
Yeah. And they mention him in the same breath as Ant-Man, but then it's just kind of, whoop, okay.
Like swept under the rug. I mean, because outside of that, like for me personally, like I said, because I haven't seen it, I feel like all the important Marvel characters got enough screen time. And then I there was some that I'm thinking about, like, I don't know what your name is. The guy who has like the wings that's flying, like he didn't really have a lot of screen time. But I wasn't really all that familiar with him. So I was like, okay, I know you're an Avenger, but I don't know you that well. For me, like, I can't think of a character that wasn't utilized more. Like, there wasn't a character in this movie I was like, well, I wish I got to see more of that person. You know, I think all the characters that I loved, I got to see enough of.
The ones for me that... And it may just be because of how much I loved Black Panther. Like, seriously, like, it is, to this day now, like, my favorite Marvel movie that's come out, which some people think I'm insane to say. But although we did get some nice moments with him, I so badly wish that we had gotten more time with, I'm probably mispronouncing the name, Okoye, I
believe his name, because
the Royal Guard.
Till this day, I still haven't seen Black Panther yet. I still haven't.
Oh, you haven't?
But I know that the movie is coming out on DVD and Blu-ray like in a few days, so I'm just gonna pick it up.
Oh, absolutely do, man. It's like some people don't understand why I feel this way, but it's honest to God just one of the most well done Marvel films I have ever seen. It's easily my favorite.
Yeah, a lot of people are really saying like that's their favorite Marvel movie. And honestly, I think he probably would have had more screen time, but I don't think they realized how good Black Panther was going to do.
Oh, like, yeah. I mean, I'm sure they didn't.
Because I think even when Black Panther was done, they were already filming for this movie. So I don't think they really realized like, oh, he made how much money? Oh, wow. Yeah, well...
Exactly.
I guess they're going to be surprised at the end of this movie.
Yeah. But it's like, T'Challa, or the Black Panther himself, as a whole, I do wish he had gotten more screen time, but, I mean, again, just trying to balance all the characters, I get it. But it's like some of they're minor characters, but they're really important characters in the Black Panther film, like Shuri, his sister. I freaking love her. I hate the fact that it's like all of a sudden she just kind of disappears when her lab gets attacked. So first of all, I hope she's okay, because I'll be very mad if she's not. Right. T'Challa's Royal Guard, Okoye, she had that funny line. It's like, this isn't what I was thinking of when we were opening up Wakanda to the world. And it's just like, T'Challa says, what were you thinking? The Olympics. Maybe a Starbucks. Like, that was a great line.
Yeah, I also like the fact, like, when the witch came down to finally come help her, it's like, why was she up there for? Like,
yes!
She should have been here the entire time. And it makes perfect sense, because if you're going to be doing stuff like that, you do not need to be up there.
Yes. Like, oh. And then M'Baku, who, after you see Black Panther, I'm sure you'll understand why I love his character so much. But it's like, all he really got, other than like a few moments of screen time, was where he was side by side with T'Challa and, confirming it's like, I'm glad to be here fighting alongside you. And especially for those two characters, because, they're warriors. When that big fight was going on, it's just like they were lost in the chaos.
Right.
Other than those few moments where, like, Okoye was fighting alongside Widow.
Black Widow and what you call it, the
Scarlet
other,
Witch.
Yeah, Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, she had those few moments there, but otherwise it was just like, it was just kind of lost in the chaos. And that bums me out. Again, primarily because of how much I love Black Panther.
And I guess like this is kind of a good segue into it. You might we go into like the movies, like building up to this one.
Well, before we do that, just because we had talked about it a little bit before the recording, but as far as missed characters, like characters that we wish had been in this, but they weren't. I know there's one in particular that comes to mind. That comes to mind for me. What about you?
No, honestly, I feel like, I mean, I know why this wouldn't be a thing now, but not saying it's going to happen in the future. But I would have loved to see the X-Men in it, especially Wolverine.
Oh yeah,
because like I know back when I read the Avengers comics, like I distinctly remember seeing Wolverine being part of the Avengers, and I'm like, I would have really have loved it if he was in that movie. But then at the same time, with all like studios owning Fox and stuff like that, I can understand why. But if there was one Marvel character, I would have loved to see Wolverine in there. Aside from him, I don't really know. I think it probably would have been cool if at some weird way, if they got like the Netflix Marvel characters in that movie. I think that would have been cool.
Yeah.
But I couldn't tell you. Like, it's I from what I've gotten, I'm good with.
You mentioned one other character before we started recording.
Oh, Deadpool. No,
Deadpool? Not Deadpool. From the third Thor movie.
Oh, yes! Valkyrie! Oh my god, I feel so bad. I forgot all about her. Oh man, that was criminal. That was, to me, it was a weird place where I'm like, where is she? Where's future waifu? Where is she at? But at the same time, I'm like, this is how they talk the movie. I'm like, maybe it's a good thing I don't see her, because I might start busting out crying right now.
Right.
Oh, man. But yeah, thank you for reminding. I completely forgot about that. Because, like, you don't see her at all in this movie. And what's crazy, because, like I was saying to you before we started recording all this, there was a video where people were asking the writers, like, what happened to her? Is she dead or whatnot? And it was like, no, she's alive. And even in the movie, I didn't catch this until, like, another viewing of it, where Thor was, like, saying, yeah, half of my siblings, like, they're good. The other half was only one. So half of them are living. And I guess what's implied is, like, one half of them got into escape pods and went elsewhere. The only thing that I don't particularly like about that, because it's basically like an off-screen kind of thing, I would have liked to have seen that. Like, even if it was like, obviously at the very beginning, like, I would have, because I don't think Valkyrie would just have left. I totally see her, like, throwing down, and maybe Thor's like, no, get the rest of the people out of here, kind of thing. Like, I would have wanted to see that. And right. I don't even know, like, I will have to wait till this actually comes out. If there's any deleted scenes with her in it, like, I don't know. But
that's what I was thinking. Is like, there has to be, like, some deleted scenes. I mean, especially just because of the fact of how the movie starts. I mean, it starts with a battle having been just ended, clearly.
Yes. So, I don't know. And they might even elaborate on that on the second part of the movie. Like when she eventually pops up and she explains what actually happens with her.
Could be, yeah. Okay. Now, for me, in a way, it's not really a missed character because we technically did get them at the very, very end.
Oh.
But the thing that sticks out the most to me, And I haven't been following, like, I haven't watched any of the Shield TV series, so
Right.
I don't know, like, if it still exists or what's going on there. But I don't know. It just seems to me like with everything that's going on at that point in time, I feel like Fury and one of the Shield helicarriers, unless they've all been destroyed at this point, I feel like they should have been involved in this somehow, you know?
You would think, considering he's like, what, been in almost every movie in some kind of like back scene of like, hey, I want you to join this thing. Hey, I want you to do this. Like, he's kind of the person that's kind of like tying all the strings to get everyone together, and just to have him at the very end, and he's part of the whole little death with that.
Yeah.
Like, I understand why, because even when I was watching it, I was like, hey, it's like Samuel L. Jackson going to show up at some point in this movie.
Exactly.
But I liked how they did it, though, because, like, you're seeing the chaos after Thanos' snap death. You're seeing what's going on, and people are disappearing and whatnot, and he's just like, oh no. He sees he looks at his coworker, she's disappearing. He's like, oh, hell no. But what gets me is the fact that he pulls out this beeper that's obviously from the 90s. And I'm like, you're using a beeper? Really?
Yeah, and that's... Oh, maybe we'll get into this more in the overall thoughts, but there's something about that irks me.
Yeah, there's that scene in particular... I love it because of his dying words, but then I'm also very conflicted at the same time. But we will get into this at the end because it's like one of those moments. It's like, wow, really?
Exactly. Oh my god. Oh, okay. But moving on from there, that's all our talk about the characters, which is probably going to be like 50% of this entire recording. As you were saying before, to talk about like the movies leading up to this and just like our feelings on the crossover as a whole.
Right. I think you might want to take this one first.
Okay. So one thing that I do remember reading before I saw the movie was that someone said that Infinity War is essentially like the final part, quote unquote, of what was started in Winter Soldier. And I can kind of get that, but the problem is, like, the characters of Winter Soldier aren't really a focus in this movie. I feel like you definitely need to have seen the first Avengers film to really get, like, what's driving Tony. Because that's something that's touched on in the first Avengers film. It's his main drive with creating Ultron in the second Avengers film. And then it's kind of scattered elsewhere throughout. But as far as Tony goes, you definitely have to have seen the other Avengers films.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to agree. Especially, like I was saying before, how I didn't watch all the Marvel movies. But even going through this, the movies I did see, I didn't feel like I missed out on anything, because for my timeline, I've watched the first Iron Man movie because at the time it was like, hey, Marvel's making movies with Disney. Yeah, okay, cool. So let's go watch this. And I enjoyed that, even though, like I said, Iron Man's kind of a dick, but whatever. But like after him, I basically like I skipped over the Hulk, I skipped over Thor, and I went straight to the first Avenger movie. And even there, I didn't feel like I was missing anything going up to it. So I watched that one. I went to the second Avengers movie. And then, like, I basically skipped almost everything except for the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. Because at the time when that came out, I was burnt out on superhero movies. Because comparatively with Fox doing their X-Men and DC doing God knows what with the DC characters.
Let's not even try to get into that.
I was so burnt out on superhero movies. I'm like, I need a break. Because I even skipped over Deadpool. I was like, I wanted to see it.
Oh, wow.
But I was at the point where I was like, okay, there's way too many superhero movies for me I need to watch something different. I mean, I did come around to see Deadpool eventually, but I needed some time. And when I heard about Guardians of the Galaxy and how it's like, it's a superhero movie, but it's more like a space odyssey kind of movie, I was like, I'll go with that. And that's what kind of got me back into watching all the movies. And I watched, Spider-Man Homecoming, and that was it. So after that, I went right in. Oh, I saw Thor Ragnarok. That was the last Marvel movie I saw before going into this movie. And thank goodness I watched that, because otherwise I would have been confused at the very beginning of this movie.
Yeah, that's a definite. It's like the last Thor movie. It's definitely sort of some required viewing in order to really get the context of, what is this? Why are they here? What's going on?
Because I would say, like, even if I know we're deep into this already, but like, if you haven't seen Thor Ragnarok, you were kind of confused at the beginning of this movie, watch that movie, and then that would make so much more sense.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah.
And also, I mean, you touched on Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, both of those movies, I mean, in my opinion, the Guardians movies are some of the best Marvel films put out there, because I do enjoy them as like space odysseys. But because of how much this movie focuses on the characters of Guardians of the Galaxy, I think it's required. Those are also required viewing.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not sure about the second movie, because they don't really even say anything about Thanos. I mean, the only thing we have is Nebula wanting her revenge and stuff, but aside from that, they don't really speak about it. The first movie, definitely, you should probably watch it, because you even see him. But call me crazy. Throughout all these movies, anytime they've shown like this a snippet of Thanos, has he he looks different throughout each movie?
Yeah, they've definitely, because I think even at the end of the first Avengers film, wasn't he blue instead of purple?
Yeah, I think he was blue. And it looked like he was really chunky in the face, and it's like, well, now I got muscular. I worked out. I'm like, okay, you look way different than I thought. Okay, cool, let's do this.
Time to take matters into my own hands. Time to start pressing. Bench press.
But yeah, Al, I just thought about this. This is kind of going back to Thanos. I kind of wish we could have saw him go to the Nova Corps to get that one Infinity Stone, because he said he got that, and that was like one of the first ones that he got. I'm like, I would have loved to see that. Like, I would have loved to see how that went down.
Like, even if it's just like we see him like riding off as it's being destroyed after he's taken it. Like, if that had been the opening, it still would have been like a dark, like, oh crap moment.
Oh yeah.
And then shortly after, it's like, he's attacking the ship where Thor and all of them are. It's like, I feel like that storytelling wise, that would have been maybe a bit stronger, if not because, again, at that point, it's like he mentions having taken it from Xandar, but did you really?
No.
Are you sure? We don't know.
You just gotta take your word for it.
Exactly.
But I would say with the movies that I saw, I think I went into this in good hands. Like, I wasn't really confused. And I feel like, honestly, if you, I feel like any diehard comic book fan who reads all, like, Marvel comics, you're already in good hands. You kind of already have a feel like, yeah, this is stuff that's about to go down. But I think if you're, like, a person that's been watching the movies, I mean, yeah, go sit through all of them. Why not? I feel like there was some movies that I was told to go watch Ant-Man, and I was told to see The Incredible Hulk, and there was one other movie obviously Doctor Strange. I didn't get a chance to see that one yet either.
Oh yeah, I really enjoyed that movie. It was good.
Yeah, like there was some movies that people were like, you should probably go see these, but I think with the movies that I went to go see and going into this, I was fine. I didn't feel like I missed out on anything. Even being like a casual Marvel movie fan, I didn't feel like I missed. It didn't ruin the experience for me. I still loved the movie, even though it made me cry manly tears a lot. But
Oh my god, yes. And of those, it's like I feel like if you were to go through all the Marvel films, which, I mean, even the bad ones, I mean, not the bad ones, even the ones that aren't liked as well, I still think are enjoyable movies.
Right.
Like Iron Man 2 is nowhere near as bad as some people claim. It's easily the weakest of the Iron Man films, but it's not a bad movie. It's just it was a popcorn flick that they put out among the rest of what they were putting out at the time.
Right.
But of all of those, I really think that the only ones that you could just leave out entirely, as far as leading up to Infinity War goes, it would be The Incredible Hulk. I really enjoyed The Incredible Hulk. I think it was a great Hulk movie, even though, like, you know, it's not the same guy playing Hulk anymore. But yeah, I feel like you could leave that out. And then also Ant-Man. I mean, Ant-Man plays a part in Civil War, but beyond that, it's like he's mentioned in a sentence,
right,
in Infinity War. So it's like who cares?
But yeah, so many feels. There's so many movies. Like, I feel like that's. I kind of wonder what would be the runtime to watching all those movies together.
I feel like I read where someone wrote that down, actually. Let me see if I can search it real quick and see if I can find it, because I feel like it's basically a full day venture, if not slightly more.
Oh, Jesus.
According to this website called bingeclock.com, it would take 1 day, 9 hours, and 52 minutes.
I could do it.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically a long weekend, or, well, not even a long weekend. That's a weekend of dedicated movie watching.
That's doable for me. Because I've been watching things that took me like 3 days to go through, and I'm like, I could do that.
Oh, yeah. But in addition to, like, well, before I talk about this, is there anything else you feel like would be required viewing before watching Infinity War? I would personally say Black Panther, but I'll leave it at that.
I feel like for the premise of this movie, I would say any movie that actually mentions Thanos in some capacity, I feel like those are movies that you should probably watch. But, I mean, overall, besides the ones that I've already mentioned, no, not really.
Okay. And just to sort of talk about this movie as a whole, because it does incorporate so many characters from so many movies over the cinematic universe. I want to talk a bit about, like, how it worked as a crossover overall, and if it's okay, I'd like to talk about this first.
Yeah, sure, go for it.
I feel like, because both of the first two Avengers movies, they overall kind of worked with the same crew, with a few additions, like they had Sam or the Falcon in the second Avengers movie, as well as a few others. But, excuse me. As a whole, I feel like this has been the epitome of them doing a crossover movie in the Marvel Universe. I feel like they balanced not only, for the most part, the screen time of all the different characters, how much they were focused on, but they managed to balance out the humor with, like, the seriousness that comes from the different varieties of movies. Like, they incorporated the Guardians of the Galaxy humor extremely well through this movie. They incorporated, I mean, just the seriousness of some of the storylines and how characters' feelings toward each other have changed over the course of this. Like, overall, I feel like they handled that really well, and so I really commend them for that. Oh. While at the same time, that did make it, while it's the best example of that they've done so far, the fact that it is such a big crossover is also my, like, biggest issue with it, because of them having to do all that juggling and all that balancing it does lead to visual and storytelling chaos, in my opinion.
Oh, I can see that. And what's so funny is to me, that's like the best kind of storytelling. I like when it's like jumping all over the place, where you see like, well, what are these people doing? Oh, let's jump into these people. Like for a reason, maybe it might be my chaotic personality, but I like that kind of storytelling because it's always like there's always something going on and whatnot. But as far as the crossovers and the balance, I like the fact of how they grouped certain characters with characters. Like, you would have some serious people with some more jokey people. Like, when not Thor, but when the Hulk comes back down to Earth and he's reintroduced to everybody, he's like, oh, I'm back. How's they? And then, like, one of the first things, like, there's a Spider-Man and an Ant-Man? What did I miss? There's so much of that little, that almost like real world talk that makes it a really good balance, because, I haven't seen Doctor Strange, but seeing Strange and Iron Man in the same room, I was like, they're kind of like the same, okay, right.
Yeah.
But then having people like Peter Parker and Quill and the rest of the Guardians, it balanced them out to be like, okay, this works. And then seeing how everyone in Wakanda was kind of working together. I think the only time that I feel like it didn't quite work is when you had Scarlet Witch, Vision, Captain America, Black Widow, because like they're all particularly pretty serious, and that was like a serious tone with two people that were in love with each other. I think out of all of them, that was the one kind of group that didn't really work well with me until they got into the big Wakanda group, and then having Thor, Rocket, and all of them kind of just come into it as well. Like, then it became more of a more balanced thing to me. But as an overall, from what Marvel had to deal with so many characters, I think they did a good job. I think they did the best job they could do with so many characters. And I think going into the next movie, considering like now the Avengers is literally cut in half, it would make it more manageable, so more people will have more screen time.
I think so too, and I do find it interesting, and I think it's just like the different ways we approach these movies and our different personalities. But it's like I saw it kind of differently overall. It's like while the humor worked for me, it's like I felt like there were certain times where they were kind of going for an overall more serious vibe, like in a certain moment, and then there would be humor. And I mean, it wasn't all the time, but there would be certain moments where I'd be like, really? We're doing a joke right now? But then at the same time, like when it was Captain America, Black Widow, and all them showing up to help Vision and Scarlet Witch, it was like, for me, that felt more solid because it felt just like overall the vibe of what was going on was more consistent. That makes sense.
I can see that, because that was probably like the most consistent, but at the same time, during that whole section, they don't even really know what's going on. Like, when Thanos' children, as weird looking as they look, come down and are coming after Vision, like they don't really understand why this is happening or who these people are. And the only thing we get is that Vision's like, I have a feeling something bad, like, because his stone was glowing, and he was like, something's up. Something not right's going on. But they didn't really understand until like they got the full explanation of, oh, this guy is actually, he's coming? Okay, right. We need to get that thing out your head. Cool, right on. Also, this is another thing that I love. I love how, I think it's Bannon, the guy who plays the Hulk. I like how when they were explaining how they put the stone in the Vision, and how Black Panther's sister was like, well, why would you do that? Why don't you just do this? It showed a level of like, yeah, she's smarter than you. Okay.
Oh, yeah. And that's another thing. It's like, after you see Black Panther, man, Shuri is awesome.
Oh, I'm going to have to watch this movie.
It's like she is. If you had her, Bruce Banner, Tony Stark, and Doctor Strange all in the same room, she would talk circles around them.
Wow.
At least that's the way I envision it.
I'll have to come back to another podcast and be like, oh, let me talk about this movie.
Oh, yeah. And hey, after you watch Black Panther, if you feel like talking about it, we can definitely do that again.
Oh,
because I really want to see that movie. How many times have I seen it now? I really want to see that movie a third time.
Hey, like I said, in a few days, it's coming out. So.
Oh, yes. I can't wait.
But I think, for the most part, with this movie, the crossover with all the characters, especially with all the conflicting attitudes and emotions and stuff that was going on with all the different characters, I think Marvel did as best as they could do. So,
oh, absolutely. I 100% agree with you there, man.
Yeah, I would give them I give them a solid A, not an A plus or an S, but they get an A for me.
Now, what is not yet the end of the topics, but near it. Let's talk about the end of Infinity War. Do you want to go first, or shall I?
Oh, there's so many deaths. There's so
many deaths.
Many.
Oh my god.
Oh man. Okay.
The moment that led up to it, like before, like all of the deaths started happening, when Thor took the Stormbringer and like just chopped into Thanos, for a moment I was just like, oh my god, did he actually do it? And then Thanos is like, he's wheezing to talk. He's just like, you should have aimed for the head. And then the snap.
Oh.
And I just remember like my entire body going numb. I was just like, no.
Like, see, my thing about it is when I saw... literally, because you don't really see where Thor is aiming at. You just know he's going right for Thanos. And, like, just the fact that it was going through, I think it was that beam of light that was coming from the gauntlet. Like, the fact that axe was going through all of that, I'm like, is this the end? Is he about to die? And just to see that moment where he's like, you screwed up. Bam! I was like, oh, that's not good. That is not a good... And especially anyone from the comics that have read the Infinity War, you know that snap meant half of the universe dead. Just right on. And then when you see all the Avengers that are dying, like, again, because, like, some of these characters, I don't have an emotional attachment to. Like, the guy that has the wings that can't remember. That's how bad it is.
The Falcon.
The Falcon. Like, he rolled and he was just gone. And I'm like, okay. Yeah. And then when Black Panther, like, that one kind of got me. Because I was expecting I wasn't expecting him to go. I was expecting that his warrior girl was going to be gone. But he disappeared.
When that scene happened, when he turned to ash, I swear to God, the woman who plays Okoye, like, that was some of the most impactful, like, non-verbal acting I've ever seen, because just the look of pure devastation on her face just chilled me. It's just chilling me right now thinking about it.
Like, that one, it was a short but effective one, because even though I didn't see it, I felt the gravity of that death, and I'm like, whoa, okay. But like a few of the others, like, for example, for the majority of the cast of the Guardians, they all just went poof, and I'm just like, okay, like, it wasn't like heart-wrenching, but it was like a gut punch. But another one that got to me was Groot. I was like,
oh, I know.
Everyone in the crowd was like, no, because everyone loves Groot, and like, even seeing him, like, no, that can't happen. I'm like, and he's gone. But I think out of all of them, I think Scarlet Witch, she was also turned to ash. and whatnot, but that wasn't really that much of an effect. I was like, I wasn't expecting it to see her, like, see that happen to her, but when it did, I was like, wow, okay. And it kind of made, like, her struggle somewhat pointless to me, because I was like,
well, not pointless, just extremely tragic.
Yeah, I guess that's probably, yeah, I'll go with that, because she went through all of that to save the man robot that she loves, and he dies, and she does Ash. But the one that affected me the most, and
I know what you're gonna say.
it was Peter Parker. That
my God.
made me angry. Like, if there was any deaths in this movie that really made me upset, it was Gamora, because she's also waifu. But then Spider-Man. And literally, when he was talking to Tony, he was like, I don't want to go. I don't like.
He pulled a Doctor Who.
He did. And you know what got me? The moment he turned to Ash, I literally got out of my seat and I'm like, we just got him back. We just got him back. And you gonna tell me he's gone? Everyone, I was like, Rio, calm down. I'm like, no. You know how long I've been wanting Spider-Man to come back to Marvel? And this is what you do? Oh, I was in tears and I was angry.
Man, that part had me in tears, and I mean, it was so painful to watch, because it's like you see him struggling, like he feels something going on, and like he feels what's happening to him, and it was only made worse because I read a theory, it has not been confirmed, but a theory, which is that the reason why he was feeling everything was because his spider sense was going insane. He was sensing everyone dying at once, including himself. And, like, just kind of conceptualizing that, it kills me. Because, again, it's like, I know most people love Spider-Man. Some people don't, but I don't care what you think about it. That is, like, the most tragic death to come out of that final scene, and no one can tell me any different.
Oh, yeah, like that. Oh, that whole crowd was just like, it was, at that point, it was too much. I believe, didn't Doctor Strange also go away with the snap?
He did, yeah. And actually, one thing about that, because Doctor Strange, he saw all of the different outcomes. He saw all of the different possibilities. And his last words before he fades away into ash, I can't remember the exact quote.
It was the Endgame. This is Endgame right now.
Yeah, this is Endgame. And it's just like, what does he know? What does he know that's going to happen?
And I'm glad I brought this up. Because previously he was saying to Tony, like, if I had to decide between you, the kid, and this the time stone, I'm going to guard this time stone. And I feel like because he saw into the future of the best possible outcome, he knew he had to give up that stone to save Tony.
Yep.
And it's just like, so whatever happens in this next movie, Tony's going to have to do something to basically save the universe.
Mm-hmm.
But then, what's also crazy, even with the snap, because that's how I would call him Phoenix so badly. Samuel Jackson. That's the only way I can get to him. When he goes, when I saw that and him just be like, mother, I'm like, you were so close, man. You were so close. I was waiting for that. But like, when you see the gauntlet, you see like all the stones are cracked now, too. Like
I didn't notice that they were all cracked. I mean, the gauntlet was like just ravaged.
I guess it was so fast though. So maybe the stones are still intact, but to me, like when I saw it, it looked like it was just shattered, and I'm like,
they may be.
But man, this is too me. I got man tears right now.
But and talking about Samuel L., or it's like Fury. In that moment, there's a couple of things that I mean, in addition to my wonder of where the hell they were that entire movie, but it's like, okay, they have this beeper, and it's apparently specifically for Captain Marvel, who is one of the 2 Marvel films coming out between now and next year when we get the finale of Infinity War,
I believe
or whatever it's called.
her movie is supposed to be coming out next year in March.
It's probably is that then. But the thing, and again, maybe it's something that was mentioned in the S.H.I.E.L.D. show, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't know whether it has or not, but if he had someone to call, like an emergency superhero to contact, why has this never been mentioned? And like the Avengers were supposed to be the ones that were like the backup plan in case of horrible events.
You know,
like
I feel like I have a loophole for this one because I think Nick Fury knows somehow. I feel like this needs to be a movie that's on Nick Fury of all the people he knows, because he always seems to know someone as a backup. Even like when I like, even if you think about it with back in the day when we had like some of the X-Men cartoon shows, Nick Fury show up and he knows Wolverine and stuff, and because of that, Wolverine also knows Captain America, which this is no reason why I want Wolverine in here, but like he seems to be that one person that has all the connections for like a backup plan if something were to happen. But then it also makes me kind of wonder, did like Captain Marvel say, like, if people still turn to ash, I need you to page me, okay? Like, right. That's what I'm thinking. But then on top of it, I'm like, pager? Really? Of all things to use, a pager that can, like, we don't even know where she's at, by the way. She could be in space or on different planets. We don't even know where she's at. But, like, it's just, it kind of bothers me a little bit. It bothers me in a sense, like, it's like one of those moments, I'm just going to laugh at this moment because this does not make sense. This right here doesn't make sense, but I'm going to roll with it because it's Marvel. But it makes me more interested to see Captain Marvel when I see her movie, because apparently it's supposed to be set in the 90s, which would make sense why you have a beeper. But still, you think you would upgrade.
Exactly. It's like, oh, this is the only way to possibly communicate. I hope I remembered to change the batteries.
I know, like, and the fact, no, it also kind of makes me a little weirded out. The fact that he just had that in his pocket the whole time, like, he knew, like, okay, something's going down. I should probably have this on me on all, like, no, something, and that moment, this kind of bothers me.
Yeah, it's like that moment at the end, for me, it really served no other purpose other than to get me more hyped for the Captain Marvel movie that's going to be coming out, because I'm really looking forward to that and seeing how it's going to incorporate into, like, not only this storyline, but what comes next.
Exactly.
Because Captain Marvel in the comics is an extremely powerful character.
Oh yeah, definitely. You know what? And what's so crazy, because I kind of had to do some little bit of research before, because the first time I watched the movie, I recognized the symbol, and I was like, "That's Captain Marvel, obviously." But in my head, I was thinking that it was a guy, and
originally it was.
Yeah, originally it was, and then I kind of had to go back, and I was like, "Wait a minute, it's probably the girl now." And what made me really think about this was the Marvel versus Capcom Infinite, because Captain Marvel and there was a girl, and then I started going to the comic stuff, and I was like, oh, Maurice, okay, it has to be a girl, and then I saw the picture of who's actually going to be playing the role, and I'm like, okay, alright, I had to do a double check. I was thinking that it was a dude the entire time, like, because I'm thinking of, like, old school comics, and I'm like, wasn't that a guy? And whatnot, but
originally she was like Ms. Marvel.
Yeah, Miss Marvel was her name, and then she took the name basically, because I believe the guy I think the guy died and gave her the rest of the I don't know how the hell it goes through. It's too much comic book lore for me to do in one day, people.
Exactly.
So yeah, but No, it makes me more excited to see who this character is. But it also makes me a little worried at the same time because people don't know of this character. Like, people who read the comics probably know of this character, but people who are just going in to see the movies, they don't know anything about her. So it's going to be really interesting to see her movie. And even the fact that certain characters from the first Guardian of the Galaxy movie, it's going to be in this movie as well. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this one plays out. So it's a movie that I'm totally going to go see because that's easily leading into the next part of this movie. But then I'm also kind of curious, like, with Ant-Man and the Wasp, 'cause that's coming out. Like,
yeah, that's another thing I was wanting to just kind of talk about and see about your thoughts on it.
Okay, because I didn't see the original Ant-Man, and then going to this movie, they briefly mentioned about him and how he's basically running from the law and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And then I look at the trailer for the second movie, and I am so conflicted. I'm like, why is he... Like, is his movie happening at the same time as all of this is going on? Because now I'm kind of...
Is it happening before?
Yeah, like, because now I'm wondering if it ends off and people turn to ash and it's, like, continues in this movie. I'm like... Then I would feel like I'm probably going to go see this movie anyway, but I'm really conflicted about that movie, so...
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm excited for it because it finally does introduce the Wasp character, which I love Evangeline Lilly. She's beautiful and waifu. Anyway, yeah, it's the first Ant-Man movie. It's a popcorn film. It was enjoyable. It was funny. You have Paul Rudd being Paul Rudd. And it was fine. It wasn't one of the best Marvel movies by far, but, you know, it introduced the character. I found him endearing enough. And again, it had Evangeline Lilly in it. And while Paul Rudd's character is training, she kind of beats the crap out of him because she, rightfully so, thinks that she should be the one using the Ant-Man suit.
Rightfully. And, yeah. Because, like... Not to cut you off or anything, because, like, when I first saw the Ant-Man, it was in Civil War, and I'm like...
yeah.
And it, like, watching him in that movie, it didn't make me want to watch the Ant-Man movie. I'm just like, okay, you can go really big and go really small. And then I joked about this with some of my friends that seen the movie. It's like, if Ant-Man was here, he could have been really small, got inside of Thanos, and got really big and just blew him up.
Yep.
Problem solved right there.
Oh my god, I need to see if there was a tweet that I saw on Twitter that or maybe it was over on Tumblr. But it basically pertains to that, and it's one of the most glorious things I've ever seen, because it points out how really easy it would have been for Ant-Man to end that. It may be too far down on my list.
It's a possibility. Tumblr is a very scary place.
Oh, no. Here it is. I found it. Marvel saw the post about how Ant-Man could defeat Thanos by crawling into his ass and instantly growing in size, and that's why they didn't put him in the movie.
Because, again, problem solved.
Exactly. Oh my god.
But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go see Ant-Man and the Wasp and see how that ties in. It has to tie in some weird way, and see what happens. But you know, really, a Marvel movie that's not part of the Marvel the universe that I'm actually interested to go see, but I'm kind of worried to go see is Venom.
Yeah, and that's actually one thing. I won't talk about it much because, I mean, how long have we been recording already?
Almost 2 hours. We're getting close to 2 hours.
Yeah, we've been recording for quite a while. So, one thing that I noticed while watching this movie that makes me wonder whether or not Venom might become possibly a part of the MCU is the fact that those aliens attacking Wakanda, uh, during the big fight when some of Thanos' minions were there, they look like symbiote creatures. I mean,
I'm thinking about it
like,
now. I have to think about this for a second because, like, the symbiotes, because there's a few of them.
Mm-hmm.
I can kind of see it, but I don't think they're gonna put Venom into it. Like, it'd be nice. It'd be really nice, but like I saw the latest trailer for Venom.
Are you still there? I'm
face.
losing you.
I'm still here.
Okay, it kind of faded out for a second there.
Yeah, that's the power of internet. But I don't feel like they're gonna add Venom to it. I mean, as much as I would like him to be part of it, but then again, they need to fix his face because every time I look at the second trailer, I see his face. I'm like, what's up with the second row of teeth?
He's a big old monster.
He is, and like Venom is definitely one of my favorite Marvel characters. Like he is, like near the top, like probably in my top 3 favorite Marvel characters. And I looked at his face and I'm like, I'm obligated to go see this movie, but I don't like your face, man.
And I feel like just because, I mean, that's even like the first full trailer they put out.
Yep.
Part of me feels like they might adjust it some, and I mean, who knows? It's like Marvel has shown us already that they like to screw with our expectations as far as like what they actually show in trailers.
It's a possibility. That's all I want to do. I'm not getting my hopes up. I saw what he looks like. I'm going to deal with it. Just be like, let's make this a thing. Let's go into this.
Yes. All right. So to close all this up, as a whole, what do you think of this movie? Like, what are just some of your overall thoughts about it as like the latest freaking huge Marvel film?
Well, my gut reaction is I would have kicked Thanos in the dick. Just that's my immediate reaction. But as an overhaul of this movie, it was something I wasn't expecting, which I love. Mm-hmm. I love it when a movie can take something that's established and then turn it on its head. Like I love that. It shows the creativity from the writers and just it shows like we can take your expectations and throw it way out the window. I love that. So, as dark as a movie as this is, I enjoyed it. That ending though, like when Thanos is just looking at the sunset and this goes to black, I'm like, that's effective. I don't like it because it's a cliffhanger, but you got my money for the next movie. Okay. So,
oh yeah,
I would say overall, I definitely enjoyed this. In fact, it took me a while to actually come to this conclusion if I actually liked it or not. Because after everything that happened in that movie, I'm like, oh man, I don't know if I like myself at the moment.
Oh yeah, I totally get that.
You know, and before I go, I was out of all my friends, I was the only one to go see this movie. Everyone else was like, they're waiting. And I was like,
why?
Because like a lot of them feel, and I get this, a lot of them don't like the claustrophobia of being around that many people and whatnot. I get it. Like I understand why people feel like that. And to anyone that's watching this and you took the chance, you sat and watched the movie, you wanted to listen to us, go with friends. You're gonna need some support. Trust me.
Oh,
even if we're talking we're talking about it, right? And we're still not okay. Watching it, you will feel some kind of emotion. I'm just because like we can only talk about it when you visually see it. You're gonna be like, what even? And honestly, there's one death. Throughout this whole movie, there's one death that we haven't talked about, and I don't want if there's one death that I feel like people need to see, and it's at the very beginning of the movie, you need to see it. Because that's going to set the tone throughout the entire movie.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like there's moments of levity in the downer that is this movie, but downer only in mood because it is a good film.
It is. It's a really good film. Like all the actors did an awesome job. Thanos, again, as psychotic as he is, he's probably one of the best villains that Marvel has. I don't know. I still have to see Killmonger and Black Panther because apparently people love the crap out of him.
Oh yeah.
But as for me, like, overall, I really enjoyed this movie. I really like it's one of those movies. I feel like when a movie can make me feel different emotions, the movie has done a good job. And this movie has done that. Like, to me, it goes a little bit beyond a superhero movie.
Oh yeah.
And that's a credit, because like really the only other movies that's been able to hit that achievement for me has been the revamp of the Batman movies, but now I'm not sure what's going to happen with Batman. That makes me really nervous.
Yeah, that should be interesting.
What about yourself?
I mean, overall, I agree with you, man. There were certain things that I hit on earlier in this recording about how just, some of the imbalance with like humor alongside like with the serious things that kind of threw me off. But for the most part, it's like the fact that they balanced everything as well as they did. And you're right, this movie made me feel such intense feels throughout. And it's a phenomenal movie. I've seen some people say that, it's, in their opinion, like the absolute best Marvel movie. I can't agree with them in that regard. Because it's like, for me, a more focused story, or a story that focuses on fewer characters, is overall, well, it tends to be better. Like Black Panther, Captain America, Winter Soldier, the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. It's like, those are like my top 3.
Oh yeah.
As far as the Marvel movies goes. But I would definitely put Infinity War in my top 5, because again, while I do have some very slight issues with it, it was done phenomenally well.
Oh, definitely. I think if I had to place Infinity Wars, I would say it is right under Thor Ragnarok, because I really enjoyed that movie, because that literally put 2 of the Marvels that I don't care about, and I actually like them. And whatnot. And I would say like my top Marvel movie is probably Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And that one is solely for the relatable, how relatable Quill is to me and what he goes through with that movie. That is very relatable to things that I had to deal with in my life. So that definitely struck a chord with me. And then you can't get over seeing a giant ass Pac-Man eating things. So I'm like, yeah, you're definitely on top.
A Mary Poppins!
Oh, yes! Oh, God. That's always the best. Oh, man. Every time there's like a moment, it's like, Rhea, you got this? I'm Mary fucking Poppins. I got everything. I'm like, Yondu, I miss you, man. Like,
Oh, I will say this. I mean, obviously no one should be listening or watching this, if they haven't seen Infinity War already. But if you all have any friends that have young children that are wanting to go see Infinity War with their children, please keep in mind, it's like when I was leaving the theater and I saw the next group like lining up to go into the theater I just left, I saw so many kids, and I just remember thinking,
oh, those kids are gonna be traumatized.
That's literally exactly what I thought.
Oh.
I was just like, prepare to be traumatized, kids. I'm sorry.
You know what's so bad about it? When you really think about it, 10 years ago, like when kids were going to see this movie, they had to be like in their teenagers, early 20s now. Man, they gotta be hitting the feels real hard.
Oh, undoubtedly. Ugh. Oh. So yeah, friends don't let friends traumatize their kids.
I mean, unless you're if you're friends with me, then yeah, go ahead, traumatize your kids. They probably had like literally. I told my best friend like, because she has 3 kids. I'm like, yeah, let them go see it. It's totally fine. She's gonna kill me later on, but it's gonna be well worth it.
So, how much does your kid love Spider-Man? I see.
Well, you know what? It doesn't really work with them because they're more into Star Wars, and I'm like, well, you guys are no fun. I mean, I can tell you that Luke passed. Oh, you haven't seen that? Okay, yeah, that's the thing.
This is a spoiler cast. Who cares?
No, I'm talking about in reference to them because I don't think they saw the last Star Wars movie. I don't think they haven't seen it.
Oh, gotcha.
But yeah, honestly, for any adults that you have kids, if you feel like your child or young teen is able, if you feel like they're good to go see this movie, I'm gonna tell you, they're gonna want to hug. They're going to want to hug. I'm letting you know that right now. You hug them. You let them know it's a movie. It's all fantasy. It's gonna be okay. Anyone else can get bent, but you're gonna be fine. Okay. I'm putting that warning out there for you.
That is a good warning. All right. Well, I think we should start wrapping this up, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed this spoiler cast. It has obviously been rather long, but this is why I wanted to do a spoiler cast or a spoiler review for this movie, because there's just so much to talk about. And if you all are watching this on YouTube, please do leave your comments down below, unless it's, hey, you all are spoiling this because Spoilercast is in the title. I apologize. I shouldn't have exploded like that. I apologize.
Hey, just don't turn green. We're all good.
But again, Rio, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me for this. I'm so glad we were able to get together and record and just give our thoughts on this movie.
Oh, this was hella fun. And thank you for having me. Because literally, when I saw your video and you said you wanted to talk, I'm like, dude, hit me up immediately. I need to talk about this movie.
And before we close, where can people find your stuff and check out what you do, my man?
Well, you can go onto the interwebs and type in ChaotixFusion with an X, not a C, because people make that misconception. I spell my name weird. All over YouTube, all over the internet, you'll most likely find me. But if you're looking for me on YouTube, just type in ChaotixFusion, or someone could put me on the sidebar. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Oh yeah, you'll be in there. Don't worry.
And you can come check out my channel. I do Let's Plays, blind runs, and Let's Talks. Currently, right now, I'm in the middle of Crash Bandicoot. A lot of swearing. Just a heads up. I'm also playing Kirby Star Allies. Not as much swearing.
That's such a fun game.
But I have emotions to that game. And actually, before this even started, I started going back to Street Fighter Arcade, and soon I will be bringing back Cuphead, which, again, a lot of swearing. You've been warned.
So much swearing in that game. It's just a given with Cuphead. It's just like, oh, it's like it's this older style of cartoons, and you fill me with rage.
Yes, especially that stupid fucking clown. But that's a whole nother story for another day.
Indeed. Everyone, thank you so much. Again, leave your comments down below. We'd love to hear what you have to say about this movie. And until the next time, I'd love to do more spoiler casts like this, be they for movies or even games in the future. Hopefully we'll have you back on again sometime, Rio.
Oh, definitely. You know how to get a hold of me.
Oh, yes. And until next time, everyone, I am PapaKenn.
I'm Chaotix.
He's ChaotixFusion. Oh, sorry.
Well, yeah, I'm Chaotix, but I go with Chaotix. That's what. No,
okay, I will repeat that then. Until next time, everyone, I am PapaKenn.
I'm Chaotix.
And we will see you in the next video, or you'll hear us in the next podcast. I'm horrible at outro.